in this question we have the question has to find a perfect number. What is a perfect number? The perfect number is a positive integer that is equal to the sum of its positive divisors, excluding the number itself. A divisor of an integer x is an integer that can divide x evenly. So for example, divisors of a 28 are 1 because it can divide 28 evenly, and 2 it can divide 28 evenly, 4 it can divide 28 evenly, 7, yes, 7 4 is 28, 14 into 2 is 28. So all these numbers 1 2 4 7 14 are all divisors of 28. So what we want to check is whether the number is a perfect number. So if we add everything, it should equate to 28. It should result in 28. So we see that it is equated to 28, and hence we return true. Else if it's not, for example, with the 7, so we shouldn't include 7 itself. So I mean the digits would be, the divisors would be, according to this question, it will be 1, and we cannot include the number itself because it's given excluding the number itself, so there will be only 1. So since 1 is not equal to 0, we will return false. So we have to check whether our sum is equal to our number, whether our sum is equal to our number, and then we have to keep on adding our sum for each iteration. We have to check if it's actually divisible by that number, and then if it is divisible, then we have to add it to the sum. So that's what we're going to do. So first we will first get these numbers, individual numbers 1 2 4 7 14. After getting those numbers, what we are going to do is we're going to get these numbers. How we're going to get these numbers is by dividing the number 28 divided by each until 28 divided by 2 plus 1. So that'll be 14 plus 1, that'll be 15. So from 1 to 15, we're going to check for each number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So until 1 to 15, we're going to check for each number whether 28 divided by that number is actually equal to 0. So if the remainder comes out to be 0, then we can just conclude that it is actually a factor of 28. That 28 is actually a multiple of the number. So we can find the factors by that method. So after we find that the remainder is 0, if the remainder is 0, then what we can do is we can just add it to that sum. Sum will initialize it as 0 initially, and then after we keep on adding it to sum, and when we exit our for loop, when all the numbers from 1 to 50 are done, then we are going to get a sum. That sum we are going to check if it is equal to our number. If that is equal to our number, then we will just return true, else we are going to return false. So that is what we have done over here. So we are checking if our final sum is actually equal to num. This shouldn't be inside a for loop because then it will check for each iteration. We have to only check for the final iteration. That is, once we have considered all our numbers from 1 to 15, and then only we can just return our whether sum is equal to num. So this function is basically returning a boolean value which is true or false. It could be true or false. It is false when sum is actually not equal to our number in this case, and hence we return false. However, if our sum is actually equal to our number, then we will return true, which is in this case. So initially our sum will be declared to 0, and then we will go inside our for loop, and the for loop starts from int I is equal to 1, and our increment will be incremented by 1 each time, I plus plus, which is I is equal to I plus 1. And what is this condition? This is the end condition, that is when it will end. The loop will end only when it will keep on going until I is less than num divided by 2 plus 1. So what is num divided by 2 plus 1? Here it is 28 divided by 2, which is 14 plus 1. So I is less than 15. So that means it will go from 1 to 15. 15 is not included, so it's excluded. So it will go from 1 to 14, inclusive of 14 and 1. So then it will just iterate for each elements from 1 to 14. Then we will check whether that is actually divisible. We're going to we're going to fetch all the factors of our 28 number, of our number 28, and if it is a factor, then we'll just add it to the sum variable, right? I will be, what is I here? Basically I is the number that we are iterating over, and we will just add it to our sum variable. So each time we are going to add it, and finally we're going to check if the sum is equal to num. And so we can run our code and check whether it actually works. And so it works. So 28 we have true over here. Thank you.